A Stargate announcement by May the 1st, or it won't be this year. Welcome to SciTrek, your sci-fi TV and movie channel. So if you are a regular SciTrekker, you'll know I've been telling you for nearly 7 months now that this was really going to be the crunch point for this Stargate announcement. We really hoped that we would get to see something in January time when the slate for this year got announced at MGM, but we didn't. We've now learned that actually there's lots of conversations and indecision going on at Amazon, and that actually a big part of this problem was that we were waiting for MGM and Amazon to get a new head of film. That happened a couple of weeks ago, and then it looked like, again, the decision had been made when Courtney Valentini was ordered by Jennifer Salke to begin work on a movie. However, it looks now like there is still indecision going on. And I'm going to tell you in a little while why there is actually some competition at Amazon between who wants to do the movie and who wants to do the TV series. And that is causing even more confrontation. But there is also the looming strike and how that has already impacted Stargate, but might impact it even more. So yes, there has been a little bit of a perfect storm that Stargate has been caught in the middle of. Right now, the problem is simply this. The God of War was greenlit nearly a year ago. It was actually greenlit and the development work started and the contractual stuff, the conversations between studios started last January. It didn't then get announced until, what was it, August? But when it did get announced, Sony Pictures was already on board, Penguin and Parker was on board, and Amazon had ordered the series. The problem we have at the moment is that Amazon hasn't struck that deal up. God of War, they struck a deal with Sony Pictures. For Stargate, they haven't struck a deal with a studio. The problem is there are two studios competing for the Stargate franchise. Warner Brothers really want to do this, and they're pushing for a movie first. Jennifer Salke really likes this idea. MGM has a good previous working relationship with Warner Brothers, but Amazon has a better working relationship with Sony Pictures, and Sony Pictures want to do this, but they want to do a TV series. Both companies have a history working with Mark Fergus and are more than happy to go in that direction. Mark Fergus's Penguin and Parker is currently working with Sony Pictures on the God of War series. So that sort of gives Sony an in as well. Now, this whole Sony connection is new. We didn't know about this, and it just complicates the picture even more. And the God of War TV series has been a delay for Stargate because Penguin and Parker are having to get all the scripts done for the God of War before the possible writer's strike. Now, this writer's strike, which I've mentioned in a previous video, is looming large right now. The big 9 studios have got representatives currently talking to all the different writers' guilds. They're trying to beat out a resolution to this problem. And if they don't, the deadline is May the 1st. And if a solution isn't met by then, the Writers of America for TV and film will go on strike. Now, I don't know if you guys remember, but this has happened a couple of times before, and it put loads of TV shows on its arse. What we ended up getting for a year was we got like half seasons of stuff instead of full series. We got stuff cancelled, got stuff put back, movies got delayed, etc., etc. Because the writers, even though they might scribble away at home, are not allowed to put anything, any scripts in officially. They have to go on strike. And Mark Fergus and Hawk Ostby are in the same boat. If the scripts for the God of War aren't done by May 1st and they do go on strike, they can't do any more work on it, and that just delays the project even more. But that's having a knock-on effect with Stargate because Hawk Ostby and Mark Fergus are having to concentrate on the God of War. If they get the scripts done by May the 1st and there's a strike, they can carry on working on the God of War. They are allowed to continue their executive producer role in that respect, and the God of War can move forwards. And then hopefully they'd be able to start concentrating on Stargate a little more. So, why am I saying that there's a May the 1st deadline for Stargate? I was told before Christmas, well before Christmas, to be fair, by somebody that I really trust, that it was really down to April. If April, very early May, we didn't have an official announcement of Stargate, then the chances are Amazon would push it back to next year's slate. They would not bother with it this year. They would just say, look, it's next year's problem now. Let's continue the development work. Let's continue having conversations with studios, but it's not happening this year. We are obviously right on the cusp of that deadline. It still means I think that Stargate will happen. But the more delays we get, the higher the risk that actually this just might not happen or might not happen now. It could be another decade. And if it is, then we're going to get a hard reboot. And that is just this way of it. Battlestar Galactica is the perfect example. There was a big enough gap. We got a hard reboot. Nobody really complained too much. And there are people at Amazon and MGM that would prefer a hard reboot for Stargate. So for them, the more time that goes by, the older the actors from the original series get. So, fans can't really complain about Richard Dean Anderson coming back if he's 90. Even Amanda Tapping, Michael Shanks, etc., etc. If they're pushing 60, 70, they're not going to return. And a continuation becomes more and more impractical. So that is one of my fears. Another fear, though, is that this just might not happen at all. It could just get shelved. All of these plans, all of these conversations, all of this debate could actually just go onto a shelf and gather dust. How likely do I think that is? No, it's very unlikely. Look at the amount of interest Stargate got. Look at the amount of times we have trended on Twitter. Amazon know that there's a massive interest in Stargate, and it will happen. It's just when, and will it be a hard reboot or not? So May the 1st, it's only 3 weeks away. How worried should we be? I speak to a couple of people, obviously, in the industry. One person has said to me very clearly, look, they're just waiting on the writer's strike. As soon as they know what's happening with the writer's strike, it's getting announced. So don't worry. Another person that I spoke to, that I've been speaking to a long time, said they don't think it's going to happen this year. They think it'll actually now end up getting announced next year in the early MGM Plus when they announce all their slates for the coming year. He thinks that's now when that's going to happen. What do I think? I'm nervous. I've had phases over the last 12 months where I've become very confident the Stargate was going to happen. And I've told you guys when I was very confident it was going to happen. I've then had phases where I've become nervous. I'm in a nervous period at the moment. That might be because it's so close we can taste it. It's just there. I now understand the industry a lot more. For example, the God of War thing. I knew God of War was happening with Penguin and a Parker in January. It had gone so long until it actually got announced that I'd forgotten about it. When it got announced, I was genuinely surprised. I was like, oh, they're doing God of War with Penguin and a Parker. And then it told me, oh, yeah, I knew that. These things do take time, and I get it. But being able to see behind the curtain, like we have done with Stargate, being able to see all the different discussions and arguments going on, and to seeing how long it does take is making me nervous. I'm generally getting to the point where I honestly can't think how Hollywood get anything done if this is how long it takes to do all these things. But from a business point of view, I suppose I do understand that setting up a partnership to do any project that costs hundreds of millions of dollars does take time. Even the God of War, as I say, took 8 to 9 months for Amazon to get an agreement with Sony and Penguin and Parker in place and get to a point where they could announce it. It's then going to be another at least 6 months until we get any casting information. It'll then be probably another couple of months after that until they actually start filming, and maybe a year after that until it appears on our screens. So maybe we shouldn't be surprised that this is the roller coaster it is, but it doesn't make it any less frustrating. But guys, get into the comments and tell me what you're thinking. This May the 1st deadline, do you think it's now or never? Do you think actually that if we go past the May the 1st and we haven't had an official announcement, that it's actually very likely we're going to get the hard reboot we all dread? and that it might not be till 2030. God knows. Get into the comments and tell me exactly what you're thinking. Are you as nervous as me? Scale of 1 to 10. I'm like 9, losing fingernails over it, that sort of thing. It's not nice. But if you are new to the channel, please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. It really helps us out and you'll never miss any of our new videos. You can also go to patreon.com/SciTrek, where for a small contribution each month, you can see videos like this first and without the adverts. And obviously that contribution really helps the channel. You'll also get to see Patreon only videos, uncut stuff and things just for you. As always, guys, please stay safe and I'll see you next time.